Yo, today we have a book insight of Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. And I am recording this right after I recorded The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And I feel like it's only right I record this as sort of a two-parter because the book, I would say the two books are like a two-part series of the same kind of series because the War of Art is the beginning and the Turning Pro is the second part, is the second stage of his, I guess, process of turning pro. And I do want to make one thing clear that the last video I forgot to change the camera to fit where it's currently, where you're seeing me right now. It was not there the last video. It was taking up half the screen. I forgot to change it. And yeah, it's a shame because the video was good. So let's get right into it. And as I mentioned, if you haven't watched the War of Art video, I recommend you watch that because it's sort of an intro, really. It's the first part of this series of Stephen Pressfield's. Turning pro is a conscious choice. So, and as we go on, I'm hoping I've mentioned what turning pro is so that we realize what does it mean to turn pro in Stephen Pressfield's eyes, because this is through the lens of Stephen Pressfield. Shadow careers might look and feel similar to your true career, but they have one distinct difference. They're risks free. That means if you fail, the consequences are minimal. So yeah. People choose shadow careers due to fear. Turning pro means giving up things that make you feel comfortable, like your self-identity, how you spend your time, and the company you keep. It is also undertaking a grueling interior journey where you face your dreams every day. This makes it confronting and painful. But the payoff is enormous. By turning pro, you learn how to embrace who you truly are despite the fear and live the life you were meant to live. All you need to do is make that choice. So, judging based on this page, I want to ask you a question. What do you think turning pro means? Okay, you didn't have enough time. You was taking too long. Alright, so turning pro, it means in this way of taking risks and actually pursuing that kind of inner dreams and passions you have or may not have yet but are keen to search for. And this career that he had mentioned is that, let's say for example me, like I currently work a civil engineering job and I create content as well as a passion. And let's say this civil engineering job was something that was basically risk free as long as I didn't do anything absurd or anything like crazy. I can just be there and be very comfortable and not have to worry about who I am, what I do, and like, you know, because that's how you can kind of be under that umbrella. And it felt the same way when I was working at retail for Sainsbury's, for example. You don't have to worry about anything. Everything was done for you, and you just had to turn up to work on time and then leave. And going after your goals and your passions, it can be really challenging because it comes with a lot of questioning yourself and a lot of that self battle, and I've faced it myself, so I can speak from that experience. And I'm hoping the people that are watching this can understand what it means, or if you're curious about it, that's good too, because you can actually start to question yourself and figure out, do you want to chase that? Do you want to chase that feeling, that urge to kind of go after that true calling or that passion you may have? Now, to turn pro, you must resist addiction. Pursuing a calling is risky because it exposes you to potential rejection and failure. To mask those uncomfortable feelings, many people develop addictions like obsessively falling in love or spending hours on social media. And feeding these addictions addictions stops you from turning pro. Man, that was difficult to read. I was confused what I wrote. So yeah, you must resist the addiction, and I put my hand up for the social media because whether it's YouTube, TikTok, you know, any other social media like Twitter, I fall prey sometimes to kind of just going on it and mindlessly scrolling. Like I have no end goal. There is no end goal. I just scroll and that's it until I feel tired or I come to my senses, or something happens where I have to get up and stop using it. And you have to kind of, when you're pursuing your passion and you're in that process of, turning pro, you have to resist it and you have to focus, because you only have an allotted amount of time every day, every week, every month, every year, like in your life. So you have to kind of understand the phrase, spend your time wisely, because if you only have an allotted amount of time and you spend all of it pursuing your addictions, you won't have the time to pursue your passions. And even if you do, the more you spend on addiction, the less time you have for passion. And you judged, what do you want the scale to look like? And with all honesty, because I want it to be my passion high and my addiction low. So you have to confront yourself on that matter. Be very honest and critical with yourself. Turning pro means facing your fears. Have you heard the expression to shoot yourself in the foot? It means to deliberately harm yourself. The saying arose from the trench warfare in World War One. That was a fact that I did not know it as I wrote. I was quite surprised. Soldiers would deliberately shoot themselves in a debilitating but non-fatal way, so they would be excused from duty. So a guy in the war would just shoot his arm or shoot his leg and be like, I can't get out. I can't go. Keep me in the tent. Keep me with the medic. Keep me with the nurse. She looks good. Keep me with her. And God, I did not know that's where the terminology came from. That way, they could avoid facing the horrors that awaited them in no man's land. Very, very, very deep. Amateurs have something in common with these soldiers. What do they have in common? Their addictive habits cause self-inflicted wounds that prevent them from working. When you let fly a metaphorical bullet into your foot, you no longer have to face your calling on the battlefield. And I would agree, and I would add on to it, that you create many excuses. And how we mentioned in the War of Art, that resistance is best tool to use, and the right hand man is called rationalization, where you would rationalize any way that you could to justify you not going after your goals, and you leading with resistance, letting fear, doubt, procrastination, perfectionism, all of those things stop you from actually doing the work. And I've been in that shoes. And honestly, the shoes of being the amateur that shoots himself in the foot, metaphorically, is not a permanent thing. It's a thing that comes in and out of your life. In and out of my life, I've been that kind of person. And so don't be so down, and don't be so down about it if you become that kind of person, because that it comes in and out, and it's less of you being that person and more of you doing that act of you stopping yourself. And you can always correct yourself. Your lowest point will bring your breakthrough. And this is one of those motivational things that you read it like, oh yes. It was like, I just broke up with someone. I just lost everything. I lost my job. I lost everything. This is my lowest point. Like, this is one of those ones where it's like you read it and you're like, this is gonna be my motivational quote for the next year. Turning pro reshapes every aspect of your life. Nothing terrifies an amateur quite like silence and solitude. I can attest to that. And I mentioned that having idle time and alone time and free time, it would kill you because it's boredom. Like, it would just make you so, it will scare you so bad. When you're still and quiet, the little voice inside you, the one who knows the truth, can finally speak up. That's why you're constantly scanning Twitter and checking your inbox for new messages. You're seeking out distraction to drown out that voice at any cost. It's even costing you your own authentic self, and I can relate to that. Hopefully you guys reading that can be like, oh, that's me. I've thought of it, but no one's ever told me it. That's how I felt. I've read it and I agreed with it. You know what I mean? And yeah, so take it how it is. And if this interests you, this is just a book insight. Check out the book. It's a great book. Stephen Pressfield goes into way more depth. This is not even a summary. This is an insight. This is not even a summary. Just a quick insight into what the book is about. A small aspect of it. As an amateur, you're terrified of that little voice because deep down you already know what it wants to say. You know that it will tell you what you're doing. It will start getting you thinking about how much you didn't do, or how much you could be doing right now. So what you do is that you go on, you use any distraction method to get you out of that stage of boredom. And James Clear mentions in his book Atomic Habits that boredom is the greatest threat to success. And that's why we seek novelty. Turning pro changes your mindset. As a pro, you must demand the highest standards from yourself. It takes a great deal of courage to judge your work honestly, especially in the face of praise. Staying true to your vision is what counts when you're a pro. And that changes how you see your work. Yeah, and I agree with staying true with your vision and staying true to your values. And I remember a long time ago when I was in I guess I'll just say the year 2022, I wrote 6 things that I stood for. And I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was responsibility, freedom, control, integrity, Islam, family, respect. It was along those lines of things that I stood for. And it helped me visualize what exactly do I stand for, so that when I come into a position where I can choose my values and what I stand for versus going against that, I can actually make that choice rather than having this grey line of I don't really know for sure, but I can guess. But once I write it down, I had something that was concrete at that time, that I knew that I have something there that I can draw that line. The line's no longer grey no more. It's red, it's black, it's there, it exists. And that's one thing you could try to do. It's quite an interesting way to draw that line. To be a pro, you must have a practice. Yeah. When you choose to go pro, like monks, you have to commit daily to a routine, a practice. This practice will have to be rigorous. Otherwise, you won't be able to master your skill of choice. So, you must have something that you're working towards, a passion, a goal, a career, whatever it may be. A pro trusts the mystery. The discipline of a practice will help you overcome the inner obstacles that keep you from work, like procrastination, perfectionism, and self-doubt. By staying committed to your practice, you can press on in spite of your fears.